Alright, well, hey, let's see if I remember how to do this. What's up, everybody? It's the Red Shadow here, and I'm back again. I'll try to keep this intro part short-ish about why I haven't been doing this, because there really hasn't been any major reasons other than just sort of laziness. I think I've said this before. I really love doing the pickup videos. It's the one most consistent thing I can do for this quote-unquote channel that I have. It's easy. Sit down, show the stuff I picked up since the last time I did it, and put it up on YouTube. But it's just been kind of one of those times in my life when it gets hard to just sit down and do this because, I don't know, motivation isn't there. I would say the time, but I've got all the time in the world. In the last couple of months, I've went to working overnights at my job, but that still really doesn't affect the time that I have to do videos like this. So, yeah, it just kind of got tiresome of going through this routine, even though, like I said, I really enjoy doing it. So apologies for being gone for a while. Apologies for the fact that this video is going to be April 2022 through November 22 pickups. Actually, it's going to be more than one video. I think this will be one for the like DVD, Blu-ray, CD stuff, and then probably a couple for the games I've picked up. And also, as I'm going through these, if I've watched any of this stuff, I'm going to, briefly as I can, talk about my thoughts on what I have seen. But a lot of this I haven't. So anyway, like I said, April through November 2022 pickups. These are DVDs and Blu-rays and one CD. And then we'll do a couple videos for games. And then I'm doing this on the 27th. I don't know that I'll have any other additional pickups for December, but I'm going to do that as a separate video so that I can say, okay, now we're starting back to monthly pickups. Okay, so here we go. First thing that I have to show is a new CD. And this is the newest CD from Stabbing Westward called Chasing Ghosts. I had no idea. Stabbing Westward is amongst my top favorite bands of all time. But they were really big in the 90s and early 2000s and then disappeared for several years. I even had myself believing that maybe this was one of the bands where a member had passed away and that's why they weren't doing music anymore. But no, they just been off doing their own thing, and then a few years back they reunited and they started to work on new material, and then this new album came out. I'm trying to look on the CD. I'm not seeing it, but I think it was in 2022 or 2021. I haven't got to listen to it yet because I don't have a lot of CD players in my house, at least nothing that's readily available. The computer would be the most ready, and the computer's basically been dormant over here. I sell stuff on eBay, so I use the computer for that, but I don't use the computer regularly. So this is unopened. I haven't listened to it yet. One of these days I will make an effort to. But that's my one CD pickup. Now real quick, I'm going to show 6 DVDs that I got from a friend at work. These are all like independent wrestling shows or federations, and this friend of mine decided they just wanted to get rid of some of these. And I don't really watch a lot of wrestling anymore, but I thought it would be kind of fun to have these in my collection. So we've got, this is Ring of Honor Caged Collision. Some of the things that's cool about these, like on the back of this one, you can see Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson on this. All of these have got like people that I know in the business, but from like the mid to late 2000s when they were in the independent leagues. So a big reason why I wanted to get these. Here is Ring of Honor Wrestling at the Gateway. This has got wrestlers like Bryan Danielson, Jerry Lynn, the Briscoes. There's a match on here, Kenny King versus Kenny Omega. So he's from AEW. He's in this. Here's Ring of Honor Battle for Supremacy. And this one, once again, it's got like Chris Hero, Kevin Steen, who's Kevin Owens, more Daniel Bryan, Tyler Black, who is Seth Rollins nowadays. So that's really cool. That's the last Ring of Honor. Here's one called Pearl Harbor, or Abra. I'm guessing this is probably a little bit more luchador related. This is Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. This has like El Generico, which is Sami Zayn, if I'm remembering correctly. The Young Bucks are in here. More Chris Hero. We've got All American Wrestling Day of Reckoning, once again, right on the cover there. Got Tyler Black, that's Seth Rollins. I'm not seeing anybody else right off the bat there. And then the last one, this is West Side Extreme Wrestling, More Than Wrestling, Broken Rules. And right on the front, once again, is Bryan Danielson, aka Daniel Bryan. Names on the back like Zack Sabre Jr. There's a guy in here, Big Van Walter, which is a guy who's in wrestling now, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But that's all of those. And then I have one other DVD that I picked up over this time, Power of Grayskull. This is a bit of a documentary about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe toy line, cartoons, the movies, video games, etc. I haven't got to watch this yet. In fact, when I started to organize all this stuff for these videos the last couple of weeks, I saw it in a stack and I was like, shit, I haven't watched that yet. Alright, real quick, some TV show stuff. It's been long enough for me to have been able to pick up box set 5, 6, 7, and 8 of Naruto. I'm not sure how many more of these there are to come out for the original series, but I've been trying to keep up with them while they've been coming through my store. I don't want to pass them up when they're easy to get to. And then this is a really big one for me. I'm finally going to start the journey of getting the X-Files on Blu-ray. I've given up the dream of ever getting the full box set. They're out of print, and anyone that's selling them online, it's several $100s. The box set originally was pricey, of course, but now they're going for way more than they used to. I thought, if I can get the individual seasons cheap on like eBay or whatever, then I'll just do that. So I picked the first season here for, I believe it was $20. It's opened, it's been used, but everything's there. And I'm going to try to get at least a few more seasons in hand before I start watching them on Blu-ray. That's the thing I really want to see, is just what does my favorite show of all time look like in HD, and how this will measure up to, say, Star Trek The Next Generation's Blu-ray transfers, which were amazing. Alright, let's go through some movies, starting with a movie called Dream a Little Dream. I think when I first saw this online and I was interested in picking it up, I thought I had seen this. It's got the Coreys in it, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. I thought this was a movie that I had watched before, but it turns out it wasn't. But I enjoyed it. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it was a fun watch. And it was a cheap pickup. And we got a quick blow through of a couple of Nicolas Cage movies that came through Walmart, and they were like $5 all on Blu-ray. We've got Joe, but I haven't seen that one yet. There's The Trust. It's even got Elijah Wood in it. Knowing, this is a Nicolas Cage movie that I think I own on DVD as well. I've always wanted to see it. It's one of those kind of unusual catastrophe, disaster movies or whatever. But I just never did watch it after all these years. And then I ended up getting the Blu-ray copy because it came with a copy of this movie, Moonfall, which is one of the more recent disaster movie efforts. It doesn't have Nicolas Cage in it, but it came out around the same time that I got those other movies. Alright, here's a movie here called Don't Worry, Darling. the first thing I ever heard about this movie was a lot of behind-the-scenes drama that was going on, because Harry Styles here was dating Olivia Wilde, who's in this movie, and she's also the director, I think. Yeah, she's the director. And they were seeing each other, and there was some drama on the set about, inappropriateness, I guess, between them, and some of the people who were on the movie, who are also in the movie, like, for example, Florence Pugh and Chris Pine. I don't know all the details. I just know that it was kind of a soap opera thing going on with it, and it only got my interest because it showed up on things that I watched, like IGN was talking about it, and it was on Facebook and Twitter. It was only when I saw a review for the movie that I realized that the subject matter of the movie might be kind of interesting. So when it came out, I picked it up. Still haven't watched it yet. And eventually. Here's one that I have watched, and I would highly recommend. This movie is called Duel, and has Karen Gillan. I don't know if it's Gillan or Gillan, but she plays... I can't remember her character's name now in Guardians of the Galaxy. She's Gamora's sister. She's bad, but kind of ends up turning better, like a more of a good person later on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But this movie, she plays. It's an interesting premise, and I'll try to keep it short. She discovers that has a terminal illness, and in the timeline of this movie, you have the ability to basically get yourself cloned, and they can be, like, you don't have to wait 20, 30 years for them to be the same age as you, and they will have a lot of your memories and personality, but not exactly the same. But the purpose is so that if you want to spare your loved ones, your family members, your spouse, or whatever, the trauma of, oh, I'm going to die, you can basically have this clone take over for you when you do pass away, and everybody is supposed to, go on without knowing what's going on. But you have to have some time with your clone to sort of teach them all the things that they're going to need to know. And then, so then you pass away and they take over for you. But in some rare occasions, people either change their mind and decide that they don't want this clone to exist, or in the case of this movie, she discovers that she's not actually going to pass away. Sorry, I guess maybe that's kind of spoilers, but you have to fight against your clone to the death, and whoever survives will then continue on. It's a very, very interesting movie, very, very stark, kind of dry. I can see where a lot of the writing and the dialogue and choices that are made there wouldn't work for a lot of people, but I was really enraptured by the movie. I thought it was very, very interesting. One of the favorite things that I watched this past year. Alright, here's a movie that I haven't watched, Where the Crawdads Sing. I know it's based on a novel, a best-selling book. I assume it's a novel and not a nonfiction. I just saw it on the shelf and read the back and looked it up and thought it sounded interesting, so I grabbed that. Next up we have Scream 4. I bought this because I am a fan of the original trilogy. I did see this movie years ago when it came out. Somehow or another, I didn't have it in my collection, and I thought that was really strange when Scream 5 came out, and I went to look and see, oh, where's my Scream movies? I have the first 3 movies in a box set, and I guess I thought that box set included 4, but it didn't, so I picked up 4 so that I would have all of them. Eventually, I'll have to watch the whole series to get caught up. And then I have a couple more horror-style movies. More of a slasher flick in this one, X. I have seen this movie. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not big on horror movies. Excuse me. Horror movies or slasher movies. Pardon me. Not really into being scared, being creeped out, or seeing a lot of excessive violence. And this movie's got quite a bit of the blood and the gore and overkill when it comes to deaths. But I really did enjoy the movie. I liked it. The cast of characters, the premise, and all that. And I just thought, okay, cool, here's a movie. I got it, I watched it, and I enjoyed it, and I had to pick it up. Little did I know that there was actually expected to be a trilogy, and the second movie came out just a few months after the previous one. This one's called Pearl. It is a prequel to X and shows one of the characters from the other movie and how they came to be. So this came out recently-ish, but I have not had a chance to watch that one yet. And the next few movies are all going to be good examples of... Whoops, why are we not in focus? The next few movies will be good examples of movies that I haven't watched yet, but had to get them because they are ones I've been wanting to see. So we got Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Really enjoyed the first movie. Heard pretty decent things about the sequel, so got that. We have Jackass Forever, the Jackass crew coming back one more time for a movie, so I had to pounce on that one. Nightmare Alley. This is a movie that I saw a fair amount of advertising for, and it looked weird and quirky, and it has a lot of good actors in it, so I grabbed that. This is one that hurts that I haven't watched yet because I've been meaning to sit down and watch it multiple times. Back to Nick Cage, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. A lot of hoopla for this movie this past year, so I wanted to get it and check it out. I just haven't done the second part yet, but I do have it in the collection. The next movie in the Jurassic Park / Jurassic World series, Jurassic World Dominion. I'm behind a few Jurassic World movies, so I haven't been able to watch this one yet. Now, this next movie is tied for my favorite movie that I did watch this past year with one of the last movies I'm going to show in this video. But that movie is Everything Everywhere All at Once. I just heard a lot of buzz for this one. Michelle Yeoh is really cool. There's other people in this movie that are really awesome. I just kept hearing so much about it, and with all the multiverse talk, you know, especially coming out of the superhero movies, they talked about it with this, and my brain was having a problem thinking about what that meant for something that wasn't superheroes, which is kind of dumb to be worrying about that when it comes to anything at all. Like only the MCU or the superhero movies can do multiverse. So I was just like, I just need to see it. And when I did watch it, I was really blown away. It's very, very interesting, especially how they take that multiverse concept and turn it on its head and basically tell a story about, you know, this woman as a wife, as a mother, her daughter, her husband, her the people around her, family members, and the people she has to interact with that aren't family or friends. It's a very interesting take on that. I would really recommend checking it out, at least so that you can see what all the buzz is about. Some people don't like the movie, and that's fair. You don't necessarily have to. Okay, I'm going to show 5 MCU movies that I've picked up since the last time. It's almost the whole entire movies after Endgame to show here. So we've got Black Widow, which I have watched. I really liked it. Yes, it's weaker effort than a lot of the movies that came before it, but I thought it was a pretty nice end to Scarlett Johansson's involvement in the MCU and passing the baton off to Florence Pugh's character. I know that she went on to be in one of the MCU TV shows, but I'm not watching any of those because they don't have a disc. Then we have The Eternals. Kind of a sleeper hit for me out of these last few movies of the MCU, because it all the way through the movie it felt like, well, this isn't really an MCU movie. This doesn't really feel like Marvel, Avengers, etc., etc., etc. You know, and near the end of it, they tie it in a little bit more, and it's supposed to, you know, continue on through the next phases or whatever. But as a superhero movie, I thought it was really interesting. I liked the characters. I liked the dynamic between all of them. They're very kind of overpowered type characters, and then they have to come up with a gimmick in the script to kind of sort of pull them back, to hold them back from stuff. It's even mentioned in the movie by a character, why weren't you guys involved in the Thanos thing? And they give their explanation for it. And it's like, okay, fine. I can kind of disregard all that and just try to enjoy it. I thought it was an enjoyable MCU movie, so not disappointed in that one at all. Here's a really big one, and this basically is the last of the MCU movies that I have seen. This is Spider-Man No Way Home. If you've seen this one, then you know, it's one of those if you know type scenarios. You understand why this is really, really cool. I will say that I felt like, and I had a talk with a friend at work, and he kind of turned me back around a little bit on it. But this really feels like an effort to separate Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, from the MCU stuff, but maybe not. But it really, like I said, all the stuff that goes on in this movie, if you've seen it, then you understand what I'm talking about, was really awesome, and I thought it was pretty well done. Now, the next couple MCU movies that I've picked up that I haven't seen yet, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I keep hearing things. Some people really love it. Some people really hate this one. They're all kind of all over the place. But I do like Doctor Strange, and doing more multiverse stuff is really interesting. So we've got that. And then we have Thor, Love and Thunder. This is the most recent one that has come out to purchase. Wakanda Forever is out in theaters, or maybe it's out of theaters by this point, but it hasn't come out to buy yet. So it's the last MCU movie that I have. I've also been hearing kind of middling reviews. Some people really enjoy it, some people don't. Some people think that this one kind of misses the mark in terms of the humor that we had from Ragnarok. Okay, second to the last thing, basically I'm going to show. This is the other movie that came out this year that are my two favorites from 2022, next to Everything Everywhere All at Once. And that would be the Batman, the new Batman with Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves in the directing chair, Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell, Paul Dano. I think this movie was awesome. I thought, man, here we go again, another reboot of the, a more expected one. The Nolan trilogy was, going to just be 3 movies. Christian Bale was only going to do 3 Batman flicks, and it's been a while since we've had, Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. But to, do this again, jump in all over again with a brand new Batman, a lot of people were kind of skeptical of that in general, and then Robert Pattinson doing it. I was like, let's wait and see what happens. I thought the trailers looked really, really cool. I liked it was dark and gritty, and a little bit more of an emphasis on the detective story instead of more superhero-like stuff that was going on in the other ones. But it did it for me. It hit on all marks, and I even decided I'm not going to open this and get too much into it, but I got the big box set that we had at Walmart that has the main thing. The reason why it has the big box is because it has now I'm looking on the back trying to figure out, a sculpted Batarang display with easels, so you can prop up the Batarang as a display thing. I don't have it out displayed yet, but okay, so that's normally where I would have ended the movie one. Those are my big ones. I kind of try to go from the littler stuff up to the big thing. But then a thing happened within the last month or so that really opened my eyes. I was like, I can't believe that this is happening. So this kind of has to be the set piece for my movie DVD Blu-ray pickups for the last several months. And this is a little thing called Aqua Teen Forever Plantasm. This is the newest release of any kind for Aqua Teen Hunger Force, one of Adult Swim's cartoons from 20 years ago at this point, and one of my all-time favorite shows. It's in my top 10. I don't know exactly where I would put it. I think I've talked about my top 5 shows are all live-action shows, but pretty much the bottom 5 of my top 10 are all animated, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force is on there. They did 13 seasons of the show or something like that. They had a theatrical movie back in like 2005 or 6. They have a PlayStation 2 game that I have on my shelf. There's other stuff that I don't own, but I've always kind of kept it to the visual media, the things I can watch or play. So when I saw that they had a new movie coming out, I was so on board. And then I thought, and no, you can't see it here really, but maybe if I turn the camera just a little. So right here is a stack. Down here on the bottom are some Silent Hill video games that I was showing off on Facebook. But up here on the top are the seasons on DVD of Aqua Teen Hunger Force that I picked up over the years. And once I was divorced and I moved out on my own like I am now, all of the access that I had to cable TV was gone, because for me it was either do internet or do cable, and internet gives me YouTube and stuff like that, which I didn't discover until a few years later. But having piles of movies and games all over the place, I was more than I was going to be entertained for a long time without having access to live TV, cable, and all that shit. So I missed out on the last few seasons of the show, and they actually didn't release the last few seasons on individual DVDs. I think I have 11 seasons, and there were a couple, 10 or 11 seasons, and there were a few more. So I started to look around online. I was like, how do I catch up on this? How do I get whatever I'm missing? And, well, it turns out that just earlier this year, before Plantasm came out, they put out the Aqua Teen Hunger Force 20-disc set. This has everything. So I don't know how well this will be seen on screen. If anybody watches this and gives a damn, you can pause it and look at this for yourself. But what this has is volumes 1 through 7 of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That was the original incarnation of the show. Then they had Aqua Unit Patrol Squad 1, Season 1. They kind of changed the format. It was still the same characters, but it was like, instead of just these weird... What they are is supposedly items in like a McDonald's meal come to life. Meatwad, a piece of meat like from a hamburger, Master Shake, who's literally just a shake, and then Frylock, who is a thing of French fries. And then they just live in this house next to their neighbor Carl, and all kinds of crazy shenanigans go on. And when I say crazy, I mean crazy. Like, if you watch Family Guy and you see their non sequitur style humor, well, Aqua Teen Hunger Force is loaded with that. So they did their 7 seasons, but that was drug over probably like 10 or more years. Then they switched to this Aqua Unit Patrol Squad, where it was more like a cop show with these characters. And then they had Aqua something, whatever, because I think that's what they were thinking at the time, was we're just doing whatever we think of. Then they had the Aqua TV show, the Aqua Teen Hunger Force Forever. That was the last season of whatever that they did. That's why this movie is Aqua Teen Forever, because the last season they did was Aqua Teen Hunger Force Forever. I want to say from Aqua Teen whatever to Aqua Teen Hunger Force Forever were the 3 seasons that were never released to buy before this box set. And then this also includes Aqua Teen Hunger Force : movie film for theaters for DVD, which was the original theatrical movie that they did, which I already own on DVD individually, but I had to have this. And well, it wasn't too expensive, but it was definitely the most I spent on any of these movies over the last, from April on till now. I think I paid about $70-ish for this, but I had to have this. This is everything that they ever did for this show, along with this brand new movie on Blu-ray. I'm never going to be able to, get something like this again, and I don't want to make the mistake I did with the X-Files Blu-ray box set and let this go out of print. So that is my highly coveted, most sought after, grand finale item for this. Might not be everybody else's cup of tea, but Aqua Teen Hunger Force is just super special to me. So many laughs, so many crazy shenanigans. I guess earlier this year or last year, I think it was earlier this year, in prep for this movie coming out, they created like a handful of brand new shorts, only a couple of minutes each, that were released on the Adult Swim YouTube channel. And I watched all of those as soon as I heard that they were doing that. I got all of those and sat down and watched them. So I'm so ready to do this, but not until I rewatch everything here and then do this sometime in the near future, because as a guy who has a lot of time on his hands, I don't really have a lot of time on my hands because I'm always playing or watching something. Alright, well, I hope this video wasn't too long, so it won't take me too much to get it up without having to edit it or any of that kind of stuff. And I'll be back with the games ones very, very soon. So thanks for watching. We'll see you later.